9:09.
The Radio Whammo Breakfast.
Suckling on the teat of tech.
With Paul Brislen.
Yeah, let's talk high-tech with Mr. Paul Brislen himself. He knows a little bit about tech, well, a little bit more, really, than probably the rest of us. That's why we talk to him.
I'm ahead. I can Google faster. How's that?
That's a skill into itself.
It is. It's a career. I think, frankly. Yeah.
Talking about that, talking about Google and speed, have you seen those Chrome ads on YouTube?
Ooh, no. Got a lot of Chrome, though.
That's where they're trying to demonstrate the speed of Chrome, which is their browser. Just like Internet Explorer or Firefox. And what they're doing is they're shooting a potato out of a gun.
Yeah.
And seeing how far, and the speed that it goes from the gun to the grater, a page will come up. And they've done it. They've done it in slow motion camera photography, high speed cameras.
Nice. Always like a bit of high speed photography.
Yeah, it's very, very, very cool. And there's also a making of as well. It's well worth checking out.
Good. Well, I hope they put as much effort into their browser then, because last time I ran it, it was a memory hog that caused me all kinds of trouble. But that could well just be my Dell laptop.
Yeah, I think that's your Dell laptop.
I think perhaps any usage is 100% usage on my Dell. So there we are.
Yeah, I'm only using Chrome. I just find it as I say fast, but also not the memory hog that say Firefox is.
Well, Firefox is quite a memory hog. I love it to bits, but it's quite the memory hog. So good to see that the browser wars are not dead and buried as others would have us believe.
Hey, let's look at this issue now. This is a story from The Guardian. A journalist on The Guardian has been convicted for a tweet that he wrote.
For sending a tweet. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this poor chap, running late for a flight. This is just so astounding that it's mind-boggling. He's running late for a flight. Discovers the airport is closed and tweets, "Crap, Robin Hood Airport is closed." I'm sorry, the airport's called Robin Hood Airport. You know, it's England. What are you going to do? Robin Hood Airport is closed. You've got a week and a bit to get your shit together, otherwise I'm blowing the airport sky high. And then there was a knock on the door and 4 burly policemen arrested him.
By crikey.
Initially for making a bomb threat.
Yeah.
It wasn't even at the airport, but, that's probably neither here nor there. And eventually he's tried and convicted and ordered to pay court costs, £1,000.
Well, so obviously,
stupidity.
Obviously he had no intention of blowing up the airport.
No, and who of us in a fit of rage at say, for example, a telecommunications company or similar, has not shouted and ranted and stomped around and thrown our toys out of the cot on Twitter? I mean, seriously, this just gives the entire game to the very people, the terrorists, who are trying to incite turmoil and change our society.
And fear.
Fear is the tool here. They don't actually have to blow anything up. They can make the police and the authorities so jittery that common life and normality as we know it is disrupted beyond belief.
Yeah.
That, to me, is a victory for the very people that we're fighting against.
Yeah.
If indeed we are fighting at all.
Now, am I right to say this guy, Paul Chambers, is he actually a journalist? I mean, he's writing on The Guardian here.
He's written a piece in The Guardian. He says he's lost his job. I'm not entirely
we're not
sure
sure what his job is.
He's still at The Guardian, or whether, in fact, he was ever a writer. He certainly writes quite nicely in that piece.
Yeah.
And thankfully, a lot of people have come to his aid and said, we will cover your legal costs for you, including the likes of Stephen Fry and Jonathan Ross, both of whom use Twitter quite extensively, and can see the absolute lunacy in this kind of carry-on. If you're standing in the airport in the line and somebody asks you if you have anything in your luggage that you need to declare, and you say, yes, I've got 3 hand grenades and a box cutter, then yes, you will indeed be strip-searched, and more fool you. But when you're sitting on Twitter, that's ludicrous.
I mean,
it's farcical.
You got to say it was it was a pretty silly thing to say. I'm going to blow up an airport anyway. But for it to be taken seriously and to the point, I mean, you might expect some authorities just to have a wee chat, but you wouldn't expect to be convicted.
Yeah, certainly not to have your smartphone and your laptop confiscated, lose your job, and end up with a criminal conviction. I mean, that is really quite extreme for what is a momentary brain fart on Twitter. I mean, that's what Twitter's for.
Yeah.
If we arrested everybody who shouted down the phone line and swore, as we're supposed to, because it is a criminal offence to use a telephone line for such activities, then, well, quite frankly, there'd be quite a few of us locked up and not very many people wandering around. And sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and close your eyes to a crime, if that indeed is what this is.
And there's also an issue of free speech here somewhere along the line, surely.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's as I say, I mean, if we're going to go down this track, then the terrorists have clearly won.
Yeah.
They have altered our society beyond recognition.
Yeah.
And that's, I just find that abhorrent.
Okay, finally, Paul, what about this Google Droid is overtaking Apple?
Yes, in the States, the Droid, the Android operating system, has overtaken Apple as number one selling smartphone operating system. This was only really a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because, of course, there's only one Apple iPhone on sale. It's the Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
Whereas Android is licensed out to anybody who wants to. So HTC make phones using Droid, so does Sony Ericsson. I believe Motorola's getting into it. LG, a whole raft of them. And it will only be a matter of time before the smartphone market is dominated by, I would pick Android as the prime mover in this category, and Apple will become the prestigious brand at the top end of the market, just as it is in the PC world.
Yeah.
10% market share, they'd be quite happy with that. Everybody will say, "Ooh, I'd love to have an Apple, but I'll settle for a Droid. Thanks very much."
Even though it's not really a settle, is it? It's a good phone.
Well, it's not. That's the key. I mean, the Android devices that I've seen range from low-end cheap devices all the way up to on a par with the iPhone, and that to me is a much better model because it's so open. And and Google is basically saying, take this, develop it, and do as you wish with it. And so long as you produce a product at the end of it, we really don't mind what you do.
We like that.
That's very open. I quite like that. So long as they maintain some kind of control over the source code itself so that you don't end up with my Sony Ericsson Android is slightly different to your HTC Android, which is slightly different to, so on and so on. Because if that happens, if it fragments, then all is lost, I fear.
Paul Brislen, people can continue the conversation with you on Twitter if they should so feel, but please don't threaten to blow anything up.
Mention it. Go on. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they can arrest somebody in New Zealand for making a threat against an airport in the UK.
I don't know about this.
On my Twitter account. Go and tweet me about it.
Okay.
Love it.
Twitter.com/Paul Brislen. We'll see you next time. Here's a track from Surf Friends.